I've never done one of these, but someone pitched the idea that I should do like a top 5 or something. And it's outside the norm, but why not? Now, before I go listen stuff, in case it isn't perfectly clear already, this is my top 5. Like, I'm not here to tell you what to like. If you disagree with me, that's cool. This is my top 5. It's completely subjective. Now, this is only going to include things I've watched all the way through. So if I'm in the middle of watching it right now, or I've seen some of it only, it's not going to be on here. I'm also excluding anime. I'm not going to have any limited like mini series on here or documentary series or anything like that. Now first I want to give, I guess you could say, my honorable mention. The first being Dragon Ball Z. Now, it did say I was excluding anime, so that's why it's not in my top 5. And even though I think there are shows better than it, I will forever be a Dragon Ball fan. Another one I wanted to mention is The Punisher. Now, the reason this isn't in my top 5 is because it only has 2 seasons. Now, season 2 wasn't quite as good as season 1, but when I was watching season 1, I was thinking this is going to be one of the best shows I have ever seen. And then the show got canceled. Another one I want to mention is Oz. Now, this one actually missed the top 5 by a hair, but it is one of the best shows I've ever seen, and it paved the way for a lot of other HBO shows. And the last one I want to mention is Rome. I had never been excited for a show in my life, and the reason this isn't in my top 5 is because, like The Punisher, it only has 2 seasons. It was also cancelled because the show was too expensive, but had it continued as planned and the quality remained the same, it would probably be my number 2. I just wanted to mention those, but enough of that. Here's my top 5 in order. Number 5. 6 Feet Under. This show holds the crown for the saddest, most emotional ending I have ever seen. I guess you could say it's a comedy drama, but it revolves around a family that owns a funeral home, and it's about the family dynamics and their lives individually. And one of the themes in the show is death and the mortality of life, because every single episode begins with a death, and the person who dies is the person that the family is working on. So the overall theme of the show is that eventually everyone dies. It sounds kind of depressing, but it is honestly a fantastic show. And like I said, this show has the most emotional ending I have ever seen. Film, TV show, don't matter. I mean, maybe the greatest ending, period. Emotional or otherwise. Number 4. Sons of Anarchy. Now, I saw a ton of promotional material and commercials advertising the show, but I never gave it a second thought. The reason I started watching the show is because my brother was sitting down next to me watching it, and even though I was doing something else, I'd kind of peek at his screen like, that show looks kind of badass. So I started watching it, and it is one of the best shows I have ever seen. The show is loosely based on Hamlet, and it revolves around a motorcycle club known as the Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club Redwood Original in a fictional town in Northern California, I believe. It's pretty cool how they tell the story too, because it follows Jack Steller, who's the main character, and it tells the family side of his story as well as the club side of his story. And they kind of keep the two separate. They intertwine at times, but they run parallel most of the time. And it's basically him balancing out being the man that his family needs him to be versus the man that his club needs him to be. And the way that's depicted is just masterful. Number 3. Lost. I heard a lot about it prior to watching it, but I never gave it a shot because I don't watch ABC and I didn't think it was something I would like. But it was on Netflix. I thought, hey, why not? I gave it a shot and it was amazing. Now, it gets kind of crazy at times and the seasons kind of drop in quality a bit, but I love the way everything just comes around and comes together by the end of the show. There's a plane that crashes and the survivors have to live on an island, and now you don't know who they are, but it tells their story through flashbacks and flash forwards, and it's just amazing how you have to piece everything together. Like the show is just a masterpiece. Okay, number 2, Game of Thrones. I mean, Game of Thrones is undeniably one of the greatest shows ever made. It's based on a series of books which I really want to read once it's finished, but it's not done yet. The show takes place in a fictional country known as Westeros, and it revolves around multiple families and houses, like essentially fighting for power. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground. That's one of the quotes by one of the main characters of the show, and it basically tells it like it is. Every family, every house is looking out for themselves, and I mean, that's basically applies to real life. Like, you're gonna look out for yourself, the next door neighbor's gonna look out for himself, and at the end of the day, you're gonna do whatever's better for you. You're gonna do whatever you need to do to get to where you want to be. The only difference is that in Game of Thrones, if you want to play that game, you either win or you die. And no, it's not an actual game like the Hunger Games, it's just every house, every individual striving for power. Now, season 1 was the crown jewel. I don't care what anybody says, season 1 was the greatest season of Game of Thrones. Like, the dialogue in that was unmatched. Season 1 was the best, but the dialogue all the way up to season 4 is masterful. I mean, the quality of the series begins to gradually drop from season 5 to season 7, and then it just starts to plummet by season 8. It's true, if you've heard any rumors, that season 8 of Game of Thrones is one of the biggest disappointments ever. But even if it wasn't, it still wouldn't touch number 1, which is The Wire. This show is the greatest masterpiece I have ever seen, and probably will ever see, because I haven't really watched anything, and I'm not watching anything currently that is as good as this show. The show generally revolves around a major crimes unit that uses wiretaps to bring down criminal organizations in the city of Baltimore. And you can see how the cops and the criminals basically run parallel. You get to see the ins and outs of their organizations and how things are very similar but also very different. Every single season explores a different side of the law. I think in the first one is the drug trade, the second season is the port, the third season is the politics, season 4 is education, and season 5 I believe is the press. The storytelling in the show is unlike anything I've ever seen, and like sometimes it doesn't even say things outright. Like, you just look at the picture and it just says it all. I mean, it just pays so much attention to detail, like not just what's being said, but what's not being said, the scenery, the body language, everything. I think I heard somewhere that it was like the greatest show that you never watched, and it's true. I mean, not because no one watched it, I mean, clearly someone watched it, but it never gained mainstream popularity. But I promise you, it is worth a watch. I mean, even if you don't like it, it's worth giving it a try. I mean, the show came out in like 2001 or something, and to this day, it is still the greatest show I have seen. But yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, and that's my top 5. Let me know if you want to see more of these. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not already, and leave a comment as well. Let me know what your top 5 is, and I will catch you in the next video on Friday. See you then. Bye bye.